So I purchased this to enjoy some retro gaming and have been extremely impressed. I didn't want to shell out money on the more expensive older brother of this game system, the RG350/RG350M. This game system runs all sorts of emulators from the PS1 downwards. But the MIPS processor in this device is budget friendly, so please remember that while it does have the ability to run PS1, very 3D intensive games like Tekken 3 will require some sort of frame skip enabled to be playable. But outside of some very 3D intensive games, I would say after some very extensive testing and playing with settings, I would say I can get 85 to 90% of my PS1 library playing very well. Games with pre-rendered backgrounds like Final Fantasy and Resident Evil and a ton of RPGs play flawlessly on this device. It runs most SNES games very well, also with some offenders being games that run the SFX and SFX2 chips Star Fox/Yoshi's Island, but should be playable with a frame skip of Auto/1 enabled. As far for other systems, it runs GB, GB/GB, NES, Genesis, Neo Geo, Neo Geo Pockets and systems of these similar powers near flawlessly. A bit of advice is buy 2 micro SD cards. This only comes with a 16 GB card and it is completely full, leaving some people with saves errors since the card is full. Use one of the 2 cards to update to the newest version of Retro FW firmware. At this time it's 2. It comes with many updates and makes performance even better for emulators and makes the PS1 L2/R2 buttons work by using Select plus L1/R1, which is a game changer. Use the second SD card to store your games. I really recommend going to YouTube to look up how to update the firmware and using a new SD card for it. That way if you mess up you can just plug in your old SD card with the older firmware version on it and you can still play. In all honesty, the RG350 and RG350M play PS1 and SNES flawlessly, along with having 2 joysticks and R2/L2 built in. But this device plays everything great, has a very nice up screen and a Game Boy form factor that's very aesthetically pleasing, and with a little bit of settings tweaking to get SNES. You will get your money's worth. I love tossing this guy in my pocket, and with its 6 hours of battery life I have tons of gaming on the go without having to pack something as big as my Nintendo Switch. It's perfect for those quick fix mobile gaming sessions. Oh, and I almost forgot, with newest firmware update for Retro FW, the AV out works now, so you can hook up to a TV and play your games on there. This was a feature many people thought didn't work and does with updates firmware. I bought this handheld specifically to introduce my son to GBA, NES, SNES and a few others either in that generation or before. This console hits most of the marks required for an emulation device. Design, it is very well designed. It should be, because it takes most of its design cues after the Game Boy. The plastic feels solid and looks very attractive. I got the frosted black version and it really looks and feels like a brand name condo. The buttons are another positive for this little console. The D-pad is almost identical to the GBA, the shoulder buttons are responsive and have a satisfying click to it, similar to the C. Volume will need improvement as it is very sensitive and I find it sitting either being too loud or too quiet. Click link in description for more reviews.